So we're gonna unbox this air filter now. See what this looks like. I'm assuming, you know, on the bike, and I'll show you this here in just a second. It's only 3 bolts on the outside. I'm gonna assume it's more complicated than that because literally nothing is just 3 bolts. But we're gonna take this thing out and get a gander at it to see how hard is this going to be. I don't think it's going to be very hard. Now I'm pulling stuff out that I don't know what it goes to. So this actually looks a little more complicated than what I was planning for. So this is, I'm going to guess this is the throttle body. Like flanges, it looks like. We've got the overarching housing here. Throttle body flange bolts onto the back. And then we've got the air filter and the cap. So I know that's how that works. It's these additional mounting brackets that I'm like, well, what does that go to? So we've got some extra mounting. This looks like ductwork, maybe. Some sort of ductwork or mounting bracket here. Another mounting bracket here. Probably goes to the. We've got a hose that goes from something to something. It's got to be the back end of the housing here. I'm gonna guess it goes here, and then bolts. So we've only got 4 bolts, which is kind of concerning. I guess 6. We have 6 bolts. 2 that are very clearly through the cap to the base plate. Likely 2 additional ones, but we've got instructions. And I'm actually going to read them this time. So, give me a second. I'm going to read these, and we'll be right back. Cool. Kidding. Installation instructions are on the side of the box because you look up your part number on indianmotorcycle.com and you'll get it there. So let's see. 288 0654 -266 should be an Indian stage 1 high flow intake. All right. Now, I'm going to read these on this website and I'll be right back. All right. We got it. Warn the youth. This meets EPA and carb emission limits. It's a good thing we don't live in California. It says to remove the seat and the side covers, but it doesn't make any sense to do that because the airbox is visible. So that's interesting. Ooh, yeah, that's still hot. We may not be able to do this today. That's pretty warm. got to remove the fuel tank, at least the rear part of the fuel tank here. Throttle valve mounting screws. Would it help if I read instructions? That's for all Thunderstroke models except the 22 Plus Chief. So let's scroll down to the section that's actually pertinent to us. Alright, remove the bolts, remove the air filter, remove the vent base. Alright, so we have an air box here that we're going to take off. We have the new air box over there. When I unboxed it, I was actually a little surprised. So there's more parts than what I need for this. So this is a 24 Indian Sport Chief. Everything after 22 is a slightly different installation instruction. You don't need some of the brackets for the manifolds. You don't need the body spacer at the top that they provided, and so I was a little confused when I first opened that sucker. But now I think we're ready to take this thing off. We're going to put a new one on, and hopefully it's going to look better. So I'm going to take you down here. Hopefully where you can see. It's a little bright. This is what we're going to take off. So starts with 3 bolts. I'm going to grab these. Looks like a handy dandy Allen set is going to be required for this one. And yeah, we'll get moving. Let's do it. I'm just going to bring this over here so that I don't have to fiddle with it too much. Let's see which one we need. I think it's this one. It is this one. Alright, so 3/16. 3, and then this cap should come right off. Be careful with that. Alright, so there you have it. The cap has come right off. Put those bolts inside that cap. And then we're going to scooch a little closer here. I might grab that light actually to see if that helps. Some visibility. So I can see okay, but I don't think the camera can. So let's see if this helps. Or if I'm a dingus. I actually don't know if this even works. I haven't used it since like 2017. Too much. Look at that. It does work. It seems to be decent light. We're going to scooch this back a little bit. And then that should help light the way here. Okay. Now that we're out on that one, we've got the cap off. The air filter comes out pretty easy, right? We'll sit this back here as well. So there should be a couple of screws. So you got that one, got this one. Should be 4 of them. And again, so this is the 24 Sport Chief breather hose. It's supposed to be removed. So we've removed the breather hose. Now, let's see. Is this going to be 3/16? Everything is 3/16. Apparently. It's a little crunchy though. I don't like that. As it would turn out, these are not 3/16, and
this is on there a little tight. So let's let's get this screw out of here.
Slightly bigger than 3/16 here. I'm wondering if it's metric. They went metric in the airbox. And it would seem they did. This actually is a 5mm instead of 3/16. So go back up to our handy dandy instructions. So let's see. I'm going to start up top. Okay, remove that, remove the vent hose, remove the airbox screws, which are they're E and F. There's going to be a breather hose back here, right there, that we're going to want to remove from the engine when we take this out, but 5mm. So here we go. We're gonna take these out, get moving. I'd like for this one to be done. This is one of those that's not as fun, for, like, in my opinion. Like, it'll be fun once it's done, and you get to hear the airbox going like whoosh as you open up the throttle, but like installing an airbox or an intake, I don't know. I think I'm just too old for this now. I'm not as fun anymore for these things. I do like doing suspension things and the like, but it's also maybe a little more complex. I don't know. I'm gonna jinx myself. Now this is gonna be super complicated and I'm gonna break something. So let's hope not. Because 90% of working on stuff is believing you can do it. And I believe you can do it. I think I can do it. I believe I can do it. So let's do this. Alright. Now, got those bolts out. This should come off. We'll have to make sure we disconnect the breather hose from the engine. Am I missing one? Should just be 4 screws. Let's make sure I'm not missing something. It doesn't seem like I'm missing something. This thing should just should pop out. So we're gonna give it a little elbow grease. Let's see if we can get this thing to pop out of here. There you have it. A little elbow grease. First try. Alright, so this is the breather hose. I'm going to have to disconnect this one from the engine. Is what it says. I'm trying not to smack myself in the head again with the handlebars. That didn't feel good. So, okay, this is in fact, we do have to remove this. So let's see. It's gonna be, there it is, breather fitting on the engine, and that sucker comes out just like that, like a glove. Okay, next thing we're going to do is disconnect the wiring harness here for the throttle body. So let's see. Then we're actually going to remove the whole throttle body as well. So let's see. This looks like a
push down, pull out connector. Ta-da! Moved it off of the holder. We're going to take these 4 bolts out and then take the throttle body off. So hopefully you can see this. I've been trying not to be in the way if I can. So let's see if this is a 5mm or if this is, yeah, these are 5mm. Okay, interesting. I'm going to take out these 4 bolts and take the throttle body off. When we're doing reinstall, we'll show you there's the torque spec, I think, for these, which is 88 inch-pounds. I think that's a total of 7 foot-pounds, and so 7 foot-pounds is just hand tight. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So all these are broken loose. We're going to take these off. Sit this throttle body to the side. These screws are pretty long. This video is going to be a little lengthier, a little more educational, because we're learning this one together. I have not installed an airbox on a motorcycle before, so this will be fun. Also, pro tip, do not take your bike for a ride and then do this. All the parts are hot. We got 1 screw, check. 2 screws, check. 3 screws. I think these are going to be done. Yeah, this sucker's hot. All right. So that's a super important part, to not touch the ground. I was hoping to keep this on so I knew exactly how to reinstall it. But anyways, so your throttle body is now removed. You got 4 bolts. You've got this little flange here. And then you've got your mounting bracket that mounts this thing to the engine. So set this to the side. And they switched it up on us. So this bracket, we've got 4 bolts here. Looks like they might be 10mm bolts. So I'm gonna have to take that zip tie off as well. So we'll have to remove this to get down in there. And so let me go get my ratchet. And we'll get to moving it. Alright, let's see. Feels like a 10. Remove 4 washers. What's those? Okay. Remove the throttle body screws J and the throttle body. We just did that. So we're going to keep these 4 screws, the 4 washers underneath them from this bracket, and then there's some mounting bracket isolators that are on here as well, that we're going to take off, and then we'll use that when we're mounting up the next piece. So this is a 10, it's 10mm here, so we'll get this sucker strapped in and get that removed. Let me open up these tools I just bought.
Always a fun thing. Got our wrench, got our 10. I'm gonna break those loose. And these are gonna be hot because I rode the bike earlier today. Like a doofus. Take these bolts out. These are important. We need to keep these, so put them over to the other side so you don't lose track of where you put them with all the other stuff. And then we'll take the other ones off. Alright, that's 2. Three. Check. And 4. You know, one of the things I've found is that when you buy parts from Indian, I mean, they're quality parts, right? Like, I don't look. Ooh, that came off easy. I don't look at them and think, oh, this is garbage, right? It's more so that, like, actually, I think they are very high quality. It's the instructions that come with them just are terrible. It's like, oh, for this, for that, for this, for that, instead of just like being able to select your model and look at the summary for your model, you're kind of having to dive into the stuff that you think might be important to you, which makes it a little difficult, but you know, you can figure it out. It's just kind of annoying to have to try to figure that out while you're also trying to figure out how to put something together. So anyways, I'll find a screwdriver to see if I can't get that that clip off there, because we got to remove that to reinstall. And maybe after this I'll show a snippet of the tools you need to do this, because I haven't seen that anywhere. But get this thing off. Ta-da! Alright. Wiring harness is removed from what I think is the intake manifold bracket, right? Mounting bracket. We're going to take these off. Hold on. Let me see if I can get them off. We're going to need to keep these little rubber grommets that are on the bracket. We need to take those off, set them to the side for the new manifold mounting hardware that we're going to use here in just a bit. So let me try and do that. I'm going to do it off camera. Okay, let me show you how to do this last one. Alright, so hopefully you can see that. There's a little piece of metal in here and a rubber grommet on the outside. And so if you just take a small screwdriver and you pry up at it, you can get that little piece of metal loose. See that? Push it out, right? So once you've got that out, you can stick your screwdriver through, hook it, and pull that rubber grommet right off, okay? Easy peasy. Alright, so now we are broken down to the engine, the intake manifold. Let me go grab the new parts. We're going to sit those out here in just a second for the stuff that's like required or appropriate for a 23 Indian Sport Chief, or I'm sorry, 24 Indian Sport Chief, and then we will get started on installation. So this is everything that comes in the box for the Indian Thunderstroke 116 round stage 1 air kit. All right, so there are some parts that you won't need. So for me, right, like on the 22 Plus Chief, you don't need this. I don't think you're going to need this spacer, but you're going to need the bolts that are included. You're going to need this O-ring that gets installed here. I'll show you that here in just a second. This is your new throttle body holder, whatever, bracket. So this is where we're going to install those little grommets we took off and those little round metal pieces. We've got a new breather valve, and then we'll mount the air intake down here on the bottom. So we will start that assembly. I'm going to sit some of these parts that I'm not going to use over to the side, and we're going to start assembling some of this because it's really going to be assembly on the workbench, and then we'll put it all onto the bike because we're going to have to mount the throttle body that we took off to this new intake. So give me 1 second, let me get set up and we'll do that here. Okay, you're going to be a little upside down here for a minute while I show you what we're going to do here on the workbench. So we're going to try and get all of our stuff kind of pre-assembled here on the bench before we start taking things over to back to the bike. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put these pieces that we took off of the other intake manifold bracket, these little metal pieces and these rubber grommets, we're going to have to install these into here. So let's see. Let's give it a go. Let's see what we got. Probably going to screw it up at least once, but that's okay. It's part of our process. We got 2 of them in. Alright, I'm going to try and do the other ones right here. Turns out I set the camera up the wrong way. I have to fire the camera guy. Should be able to work them. You know, my bike's new, so these might be a little more malleable than what yours are. So if you have to, right, a little soapy water, you can put it into the hole, work it around, but mine are, as you can see, mine are pretty simple. It's not taking too much time, it's just being a little intentional with how I get it in there. So with that, put a screwdriver down in here. We will make these a little more circular so we can put those metal pieces in there. Now that we have those pieces of rubber in here, we're going to try and push these little pieces of metal in. That went in way easier than I thought it was going to. So let's do that again here. Yeah, these are not directional. I checked after I installed them. Don't do that. Check beforehand. These should just be spacers, right? Making sure this thing stays on the bike where you want it on. So, just like that. This is ready to rock. So, these pieces, so for 22 Plus, you do not need these for your bike. And so, I'm going to put these back in the box so I don't keep looking at them. They keep confusing me. Okay, next thing we're going to do here, and I'm going to readjust this a little bit so I don't have to lean forward so bad, but I was trying to keep it, there we go. Alright, next thing we're going to do is install this air duct that's included onto the intake bracket. It's a little difficult to see, but there's a hole, a screw hole here, and then there's 2 pieces cut out on the ductwork. You can kind of see it there, right there, and then there's one over here. And so you'll line those up with these holes, and then install this using the 2 dark or black bolts that are included with the kit. So we're going to do that now. Again, trying to get all of this installed on the table as much as I can before we take this stuff back to the bike. I have a sneaking suspicion that these are 10 millimeter, and I was correct. So, alright, we're going to try and install this thing, line these holes up, and get this thing going. Get one started, and then we'll work the other side. So, you know, it's easier to start these if you don't have the ratchet on. Line up the holes, give her some spins. Alright, we got that one on. Let's see, we got this one lined up. There was also like indentions on this, so it's really, really hard to screw it up. I'm sure you could screw it up if you try hard enough, but you know, I'm not trying to screw it up. I'm going to try to do this the easy way, the hard way. Alright, I think this one, we want to put this screw down first. I can't do that without looking at it, so we're going to do that. Line her up. And we're going to give it some twists, then we'll tighten it down once we kind of have this thing in place. It's always easier once this stuff gets started, right? So, alright, I think we got that one down. I'm going to tighten this one down hand tight. I'm going to take it a quarter of a turn because this is plastic. Like, no, it shouldn't have a torque spec, but oh look. Nope, I lied. It has a torque spec. So this is supposed to be 84 inch-pounds. When you look at that online, inch-pounds, 84 to 88 inch-pounds. It's hand tight, right? Like it's 7 foot-pounds, which I don't think I don't even know that my new torque wrench is going to recognize. Five to 10 inch-pounds. So that's on there. It's a German metric called Gutentite, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So I'll give it another quarter turn. All right, we're good. So that's on. The next thing we're going to have to install, I don't know if you can see it, there's an O-ring included in the bag here. We need to install this O-ring back here in this lip. Right? We're going to put it right in there, create a good seal. So, let's see. Seems way too big. And I'm proven wrong, right? So we stuck it right in here. Fits like a glove. Make sure it sits in tight. Seated pretty good. So there we go. There you have it. That is the airbox O-ring and the air duct attached to the airbox base. So that's done. Alright, now that this is on, we're comfortable with how this sits. We actually have to take our intake manifold and we're going to stick it through here. So you're going to line up these 4 bolts, the 4 holes. This is what we took off from the bike before, right? And we're going to mount this sucker up. It's got to go in like this. It's going to go in this way. So your plastic like wiring harness place is going to go in down just like this. And this is going to sit inside here just like that, right? It's almost like it was made for it. How about that? So that is how that will be installed. We are going to have to go grab the wiring harness and plug it in. So the plug goes in here. We're going to have to feed the wiring harness through, which I'm not entirely sure how we do that yet. So I'll have to look at the instructions here, see how that plugs, because it's going to have to go, this goes down like this. The wiring harness is going to have to come through something like over here and then plug back in. So it'll pull it around back through and in, and then we're going to put this sucker on top, just like that. You've got your O-ring down here in the bottom, right? That's going to create a good seal around the intake manifold, which would be good. And then they did give us new bolts to install this, so we should be able to go wiring harness, stick this in here. Then we're going to take this throttle valve, throttle body flange here, and so you're going to take this raised end, the one with the little dots on it, the raised end, that's going to go towards the engine. This flat side here is going to go towards the throttle valve. Then we should be able to bolt this sucker right up onto the bike with this bracket. So I'm not going to put that on there because I'm not sure how it goes on, but I'll show you how it goes on the bike here in just a few. So I think we are ready to start putting stuff back on.
Alright, so hopefully you can see there is a breather hose right up in here. The way that I think this is going to get installed, or rather the way that I am installing it, taking the long end, I'm going to put that into the breather valve on the engine. Then I'm going to mount this little short end onto the air box. So it should just slip on. It's pretty easy. It's not like super tight plastic or anything. So you got that mounted. We're going to have to line this up with the hole here on the intake case or intake cover here in just 1 second. We're going to mount our throttle valve covers here onto our engine again, just like that. So you're going to take the 4 bolts and the washers that you used or you took off before. We're going to put those right back on here. Got these hand tightened. We're going to take our ratchet here and give them a little ooga dooga. With anything like this, I always like to go diagonally. Same thing with like lug nuts and stuff, right? You want to not over tighten things because sometimes it messes up the way it seats. So we will give these a little quarter turn. You want to over tighten them. There's no need to. So there you go. Alright, so we've got the bracket on. We've got the breather on. We've got all the stuff assembled from our being on the bench, right? So I'm gonna line this stuff up. I think I'm gonna have to use the screws to hold it into place, but like I want to see what this is gonna look like. I really don't want to get stuff super dirty while I'm trying to put this stuff back on too. So let's see. Alright, this one's relatively clean. So, for this, we are going to have to hook this back into here. So you're going to take your wiring harness, you're going to plug that sucker back in. The way you found it, it will only go in one way. Good audible click, give it a little tug. So that is on, and we are good. I'm going to put it back into the clip that was around front, and then we're going to need to use the zip tie to kind of hold the wiring harness out of the way. And so one of the things that I don't think it said very well is that we're not going to reuse this. So I think this needs to be removed. The zip tie is going to be your new holder, and so we don't need that anymore. Let's see if I can sit this somewhere without it being just like damaging to the wiring harness. We're going to balance it on the horn for a second. I'm going to get some wire snips. Okay, now I'm going to cut this off carefully. There we go. That's just going to get in the way. You don't need that anymore. We're not using the other housing. You don't need that clip. So toss that to the side. So keep this one because you can route this through. All right, keep the one on the front here. You can route this wiring harness back through there. Especially as I think we're gonna end up mounting this. I think it's gonna go this way. Yeah, I think it goes this way. So then we will use the zip tie for this new excess wire. Along the back. Super handy, super easy to work with. It's not easy to work with. Use our wire snips to cut off the excess. Ta-da. Alright. Now, we're gonna have this, I think, in, it's gonna go the other way. It's gotta go in this way. Mount that like that. And then your breather hose is gonna have to go in here into your air box. So there's a little hole right here. You're going to have to feed that breather hose into that little hole. Alright. Now we're going to take our gaskets. Try and stick these through here. Keep that sucker in place for us. This is going to be more hands than I have. Alright. So as you can see, this is super helpful. Not the most fun thing in the world with 2 hands and 4 bolts, but we're going to feed these through, try and get them started. So that we can mount this puppy up. Seems that we've got this going actually. And again, we'll just do this in a kind of a star pattern, right? You don't want to over tighten some and under tighten others and then warp the fitment of this thing. So I'm gonna tighten her down one corner at a time, bring it all the way down to seat.
We're going to fire it up here in just a bit, see what it sounds like. Hopefully it'll sound a little better, but we'll see. I can tell you, so we're at elevation, right? We're here in Denver, Colorado, and so the factory tune is super lean for our air here, it would seem, because it's pretty consistently popping on decel, and so this intake comes with a tune from Indian, so you can take advantage of that. I will personally take advantage of it when I can get into the shop. I was hoping that my local shop would actually have Lloyd's. I've read online pretty good things about Lloyd's tunes, and I know the aftermarket tends to have, in my opinion, better solutions, more performance related solutions than factory installation stuff does, but each their own. I don't know that you can really go wrong with these because they're not meant to go fast. Alright, we got that one on there. We gave it some ooga-doogas with this Allen key set. So I'm going to wipe that off real quick and then get ready to install the rest of this. So you can grab a shop towel real quick, wipe that sucker off, and then we'll get the rest of it installed. This is totally unnecessary. I just get weird and picky about some stuff. So I'm going to take this guy, we're going to mount it right on here, and then we're going to put this cap on and mount the cap into those two holes. So I'm going to take the screws out. I have a feeling it's going to be a 5mm, so I'll take that up, and then I'm going to mount this thing on. Again, torque spec on this is like 84 inch-pounds, so get it tight, give it a quarter turn, tight, a quarter turn, and we're good to go. That's it. So I will have to get an ECU flash. So again, it came with the purchase of that intake, but I don't know when they'll be able to get me in, and didn't really want to wait to install this when they were able to. I wanted to do it now, so there we go. So now I have the intake on. I think the round intake, I thought it looked the best. The forward one looks pretty cool too. I sat on the bike and with forward controls and the forward intake, it kind of got in the way of my knees or my left knee, and I thought that would be kind of strange. So I went with this one. I think Indian did great with the construction. It seems like it's pretty sturdy. So I'm going to shut this light off real quick now that we're not looking at parts anymore. And I'm going to go get the key. Let's fire it up. Let's hear what it sounds like. throwing a little more fuel in there. I can smell it. The big thing, you can hear it. Let me put you down here. So that's cool. We like noises in this house. They're cool. Sweet. Yeah, I think we're good to go. We set this thing up the way we wanted to. It was good build quality, and so I'm gonna edit the video, I think, where I'll put at the beginning the tools you need, as well as, you know, hey, there's some extra parts that if you have 22 plus Chief you don't need, but generally it's really not too bad of a install. It's pretty simple. It's all located right here on the left side of the bike, but boy, it sounds cool. Next thing we're going to be doing is a Solwicki 2-in-1. Other than that, hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I enjoy working on this stuff. So.